After the invention of artificial sparkling water, the world was poised for a beverage revolution. Like most things, the creation of today's sodas was a gradual one. Flavored, slightly carbonated drinks, called small beers, had been around for hundreds of years before the invention of modern soda. Made by brewing roots, herbs, berries, and other fermentable foods into a drink that was mildly alcoholic. These beers were extremely popular in the Middle Ages. Lemonades had also been around, and quite popular in Europe for hundreds of years. And sparkling lemonade was a natural development that occurred within just a few years of the invention of artificial soda water. Sparkling limeades, cherryades, and other fruit aids came next. Ginger ale was perhaps the first beverage that we would think of as a modern soda, arising sometime in the early 1800s, though we are not certain who invented it. The first major successful ginger ale, Werner's, was created by a man named James Werner in 1866. It is the oldest surviving soda brand in the United States, and happens to be incredibly delicious. And in the same year that Werner's ginger ale was born, so was Robert Lazenby, the man who would bring Dr. Pepper to the masses. Its creator, Charles Alderton, said he loved the smell of the drugstore, and that he wanted to capture it in a drink. After experimenting with many different flavors, he finally hit on the 23 that would become famous. He offered it to the owner of the store, Wade Morrison, and he began serving it in his soda fountain. At first, the drink didn't have a name, so when people wanted to order it, they would just ask for a Waco, because that's where it was made. No one is sure exactly why it eventually got the name Dr. Pepper, but my favorite of the tall tales says it was named after a real Dr. Pepper, whose daughter Morrison had been in love with. No matter what it was called, the drink proved very popular, and it started spreading from store to store around Waco, Texas. Morrison and Alderton had trouble keeping up with demand. In response, they reached out to Lazenby. He had already found success with his own soda, Circle A Ginger Ale, and as another Texan local to Waco, he seemed like the perfect fit to help distribute Dr. Pepper to the world. But by the turn of the 20th century, Morrison and Alderton were sick of the soda business, and they left Dr. Pepper in the capable hands of Lazenby. In 1904, he would show Dr. Pepper off to millions of people at the St. Louis World's Fair. If that fair sounds familiar, it's because I mentioned it before, in my episode on the Olympics. The same World's Fair that showed off the silliest marathon in history also launched everything from Dr. Pepper to burgers, hot dogs, and ice cream cones. In many ways, the 1904 fair defined American culture for the 100 years that have followed it. Coca Cola was actually created 6 months after Dr. Pepper. The creator of Coca Cola, John Pemberton, had a thrilling life story leading up to the creation of his famous soda. He was born in 1831 in Georgia. Pemberton decided to become a doctor and studied medicine at South Botanico Medical College, though he had some bad misconceptions about the best way to help people recover from their illnesses. The main way that he tried to treat his patients was by sweating the sickness out of them. This, obviously, was not very successful. In April 1861, the American Civil War erupted. Pemberton, being from the South, joined the Confederate Army in May of 1862. But Pemberton didn't last long in the military. He quickly quit the Georgia Cavalry because he didn't like taking orders. But he still wanted to support the South, so he formed a militia in Columbus that would protect the town if the Northern troops made it that far. On Easter Sunday, 1865, they did make it that far, and in the battle that ensued, Pemberton was badly wounded. Though he beat the odds and survived, this wound would haunt the Coca-Cola creator for the rest of his life. While America was distracted by the Civil War, in Europe, a revolutionary new drug was being experimented with, and it would ultimately lead to the creation of Coca-Cola. This drug was cocaine, and it had never been more popular. A French fellow named Angelo Mariani had been combining cocaine with everything to try to find a product that would sell. Eventually, he hit the jackpot when he combined it with wine in 1863. His coca wine, Vin Mariani, sold like hotcakes. Everyone, from Pope Leo XIII to Thomas Edison, drank it regularly. 20 years later, in America, cocaine was still as popular as ever, and Pemberton decided he should get in on that action, making his own coca wine and selling it for $1 a bottle. But as the temperance movement gained more traction over the course of the 19th century, it became clear to Pemberton that he had to get the dangerous and controversial drug out of his product. This drug, of course, was alcohol. He began work on a soda syrup that contained cocaine and another popular drug at the time, cola nuts. This, of course, is the origin story of Coca-Cola. Unfortunately for Pemberton, he wouldn't live to see his creation become a success. As the wound he sustained in the Battle of Columbus got worse as he got older, he ended up selling Coca-Cola, and it would change hands many times before it found prosperity. hundreds of Coca Cola imitators would arise over the course of the next few decades. Only a few would survive Coke's iron grasp on the market. Today it may be hard to imagine Coke as a tiny, local Atlanta soda, but for years, that's all it was. Coca Cola invented many American staples. From liability insurance to franchising, it was a business and cultural pioneer. Sadly for Pemberton, a debtor and one of his former partners would be the ones to bring Coke the success it deserved. Within just a few decades, it would become the most popular soda in the United States. But Coca-Cola had a history so interesting, it actually needed more than one episode could offer. So look forward to the rest of Coca-Cola's story, and the origins of its biggest rival, Pepsi, in a future episode. For now, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you can see another one right here. Or if you really liked it, you can binge all my videos with this playlist. My source is in the description below, and I wanted to give a quick shout out thanking all the new subscribers. It really means a lot to me. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.